Alright guys, what's going on? It's FootieWriter for 100% Chelsea. Now I know I haven't been on for a while, but I thought I'd come back with an interesting, hard-hitting video about why, or the way that Jose Mourinho should go now with Chelsea, assuming he's given time, which I all think we want him to be. I know that there are some doubters out there, but I think on the whole, people want Jose Mourinho at Stamford Bridge, but something has to change. Here are my thoughts on the matter. Now before that, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to 100% Chelsea for great exclusive content on the club that you love, that would be great. Also, I have a video on why Chelsea have gone wrong, the 4 reasons why Chelsea have gone wrong, over on my channel, which is FootieWriter. If you check out the link to the video in the description below, that would be great. Come over and subscribe to that channel where I do exclusive football content. But anyway, on with the matter at hand. It doesn't take a genius to work out that there is a problem at Stamford Bridge at the moment, but it does take a genius to work out how to fix it. Otherwise it would have been done by now. It's not that simple. However, I think there is a solution that a lot of people are overlooking, and I want to explore that with you today. It is no secret that from every angle, the fans, the owner and the management team, that youth is a priority for the future, but it has been for years. And since Abramovich has pumped so much money into a youth setup, which has seen us win youth cups and basically everything at youth level, the players are not being pushed through, or they're being pushed through, but it's so half-hearted that it doesn't even really count. Abramovich wants to push youth players through because he's fed up of churning out huge sums of money for the club that he loves, basically, and essentially because financial fair play came in, and although they loosened it, youth development is the way forward for the future. Mourinho probably wants to bring youth through because he's fed up of being labelled as a manager that can only succeed when money is involved, and sure, the money would be involved, but he would need to nurture these young players into proper performing first teamers. And on some level, the fans want to bring youth players through because they're fed up of hearing from other clubs that we don't develop any youth players, and the last youth player that we had was John Terry, and that was 20 years ago. And to a certain extent they're right, and I for one want to prove them wrong, and that we do have a quality youth level set up and that we can compete with bringing youth players through, like an old West Ham, like an old Leeds, like an old Parma. This season has been disastrous. A number of older players aren't performing well, and a number of younger players that we have in the team have kind of gone missing. There are only a few players who have merited any sort of recognition this season, the likes of maybe Willian, and after that I'm starting to run out of ideas already. You get what I'm going with this. It hasn't been a very good start to this season. So my thinking is, if everyone's on the same page, or everyone wants the same thing, why can't they get on the same page? Abramovich and Mourinho need to sit down and say, we want to start bringing through some of the youth players to develop them and nurture them in first team football in the Premier League, and bring through the ones that he thinks really has the potential. The whole Ruben Loftus-Cheek thing stinks of Josh McCracken. They both have quality potential to be good players, but it's so half-hearted bringing him through that it basically just reminds me of Josh McCracken. And I really hope that's not the case, because I really liked him. He had all the potential to do everything, and now he's playing, and no disrespect to the Championship, he's playing in the Championship. We have a plethora of youth players who are good enough to make the step up to the bench and eventually into the first team, and we're not doing it. What we're instead doing, or what we were doing, is bringing through players like Mikel and letting him play instead of the out of form Matic. Now that's not really a step anywhere. All it is a step sidewards. I understand that he offers possibly more stability, but in the long term Mikel is not an option. Now the downside to this is bringing through youth players will inevitably mean that the results aren't what they should be, but they're not at the moment either. Now if we bring through some youth players, I had this conversation with a number of people. Personally, I would sacrifice Champions League football for a season, or maybe even 2, although that's a bit more of a stretch, to bring through some youth players to develop the next generation of footballers. They will improve inevitably, but all the facts suggest that we won't get Champions League by the way that we've started. We're a team out of form, we're a team in crisis, so let's do something productive in this moment of crisis. Let's bring through players who are not out on loan and give them game time. What it will do is not only give those players the world of confidence regardless of the results, it will also give some of the players in the team, the first team players, a kick up the backside. Their position is really not under that much threat. Players like Ivanovic and Fabregas are just not performing. And the reason that they're not performing, one might argue, is because the players that are coming up behind them aren't particularly young and hungry go-getters who will take the chances that they are given. They are players like Mikel. They're the usual players that we bring off the bench. And at the moment, they're not good enough to really give them a run for their money in the first team. And that says a lot, which is why I think we should bring through youth players this season, even if it does mean giving up the potential of Champions League football. And let's make an impact for the future. Anyway, guys, that's my 2 cents for 100% Chelsea. I'm FootieWriter. Make sure you subscribe to 100% Chelsea for great content from some of the best Chelsea fans in the country. Also, come and join me over on FootieWriter and have a look at why I think Chelsea have fallen short of all expectations this season so far. Thanks for watching, guys. I've been FootieWriter, and as always, have a great day.
This one is very, very hard to digest, because when we play badly, we lose. When we don't play badly, we lose.